Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel. It is Sleep, Art, Game, and Eat. And today, we're going to look at this carrier or cargo ship, but actually it's more of a hangar ship. And basically you can see here, we have 4 of these Scourge vehicles in here. And the idea behind this is that you would load it all up with tons and tons of fighters that have their own landing gear stuck to the walls. Maybe even if you load smaller fighters than the Scourge ones down there, you would put a supporting beam across the middle and just load all these ships up while you were docked at a starbase or a working area. Basically, the pilots would get into their ships, dock them in here, power them down, and then basically this large ship would warp out to wherever battlefield it needed to be. These ships would deploy, and then this ship would warp out. This ship is not intended as an actual combat vehicle itself. It was not be able to take very much in. As you can see, if it's very open design, its idea is just to transport possible ships that would not be warp capable to distant faraway zones. Now these larger ships here, these Scourge ships, these larger attack ships actually would be, but I just wanted to make a ship that was big enough that it could carry them just in case you didn't want to have to use up their fuel supplies or anything of that sort. Anyway, along the back here we have our engines as per usual. Well, I decided to go with gray and nice little yellow cowling on there, having it bumping out metal stuck into there. More engines in here, basically it's engines behind engines on that. At the top here, we have much the same, engines behind engines going back this way, up until that point there, in which case we have all of these engines up the top, and I believe there are 30 of them there, and there are no engines behind engines with those because they're a large array. And then along the sides here, we got these engines that are displayed here, no engines behind engines on those either actually. Those are just for our side engines, and of course along the bottom and the other side is mirrored just as the top and this side is. Now along the front here, we have basically one of the few areas where there's actually somewhere to be inside the ship that isn't just exposed, because as I said, this is a pretty simple hangar slash transport ship to get things that are not warp capable out to the battlefield. So basically we have our little control room in there, and I'll actually show you that and the inner workings of the ship really quickly. So we fly around here. This is the only actual door on the whole ship, because it isn't really a combat ship, so there's no turrets or anything. I've actually disabled my jetpack. We head into the one airlock here. We actually do have a gravity generator under this area just for the comfort of the pilot. It's the only part on the ship that actually has a gravity generator, and here we go. This is the control room, and I'll actually hop in the cockpit here. You can see our power supply and our weight of the ship. It's a pretty damn heavy ship, and if I start accelerating, it actually accelerates pretty slowly, but again, it's not the kind of ship that would need to be running about and trying to move very quickly. It would jump in to the battlefield, or at least into an area near the battlefield, release its fighters, and then jump away and wait till it be called back. So here we go. We accelerate reasonably well. It can turn and handle, but it's not the most maneuverable ship in the world. We're turning reasonably quickly now, but if we try to stop turning, you can see we end up with a bit of trouble. Anyway, what else do we have to show you? The interior. So really quickly, let's actually stop, and I'll show you guys a cutaway of this ship. Alrighty, so here we go, I have the cutaway. There's actually supposed to be another one of these engines right here, but as I cut away it got deleted and I didn't feel like sticking it back in. Another one here. So imagine all this duplicated over, of course, right here. Now, as we come back again, this is all the large engines that we have stuck in there to give the ship some more propulsion. We actually have a few that are offset a tiny bit to give it a bit more push and karumph, however you say that. Along the top, you can see we have a bunch of actually engines stuck in here to give it a bit more push, because those little ones down there, there's a fair few actually crammed in there, but it wasn't quite enough, I felt, to get us accelerating at any sort of reasonable speed. And along the top here, in this big pop out, we actually have all of our reactors stuck in here, straight down the middle point of the ship, which is right here. This is the middle point. And then we have all of our, what do you call these bloody things? Gyroscopes, that's the word I was looking for, running all along the entire top and bottom length of the ship here, and we can actually fly through here and see them all zipping about. Now once you get to the front of the ship, something you should be able to see now is, here's where we usually come in. You go through the airlock there and you go down that hallway into the control room. Now there were those doors that I didn't go into as I went to the control room. These doors basically, if I fly through this one, or in here again, fly through the other one, this is basically how you would maintenance the ship usually if there was no actual exterior damage. You basically fly into here into a large open area that runs the length of the ship. So again, we're back into here basically, but this is of course along the bottom. And then of course at the top we have our assortment of braking engines. And you can see there we could probably put a lot more in there, but I've decided against it for now. I don't know, if I end up having some trouble with the ship, maybe I would, but I think it's good enough for the time being, so that's that. Anyway, this is just the basic, it's a pretty basic ship actually, but I felt it probably could serve a pretty good purpose of just transporting those you know, ships that aren't capable of warp about. Anyway, thanks a bunch for watching. I'll see you guys next time.